The room went quiet when Instructor Oran showed the hologram. 60 cadets from 12 different species watched as the image of a terrible creature appeared in the air above them. It had 6 legs, a body like a big cat and glowing lines along its skin. Its teeth were long and sharp. Its eyes were cold and empty. "This is the instructor said. His voice was hard and serious. Oran was a tall insect-like being with 4 arms and a face that showed no emotion. He had been teaching survival courses at the Galactic Integration Academy for 40 years. He had seen many cadets die. He did not want to see more. "The comes from the Death World IV. It is one of the most dangerous predators in the known galaxy. It has killed 3 handlers at this station, 3 trained professionals." He let that sink in. "One of these creatures lives in Sanctuary Zone 7. You will never go there. You will never go near the fence. If you see this creature, you run. If you cannot run, you die. There is no third option." Sat in the back row. She was 24 years old with dark hair tied back and calm brown eyes. She watched the hologram carefully. She noticed how the creature moved, how it held its body, how its glowing lines changed color. She had seen animals like this before, not this species, of course, but she knew this type of creature. Had grown up on a frontier colony called New. Her parents ran an animal rescue center there. They took in creatures that were hurt, scared, or dangerous. Had learned to read animals before she learned to read books. She knew what fear looked like. She knew what anger looked like. She knew the difference between a predator that wanted to hunt and a predator that wanted to be left alone. Her roommate leaned over, was from the Jovian Collective, a species that breathed methane instead of oxygen. She wore a special suit and spoke through a translator box on her chest. "The instructor really does not like humans," whispered. "He keeps looking at you." Had noticed. "He thinks we are reckless," she whispered back. "Are you?" "Thought about it, sometimes." The truth was, humans had a strange reputation in the galaxy. Stories spread about them in mess halls and barracks across 1,000 stations. Stories that made other species uncomfortable. A human diplomat had once calmed a raging or beast by singing to it. A human engineer had hand-fed a Nesta for 3 months until they stopped trying to kill her. A human child had wandered into a den of thornback predators and walked out riding the biggest one. Other species did not understand this. They saw predators as threats to avoid. Humans saw predators as problems to solve, or worse, as potential friends. The survival course went on for 3 weeks, did well in most areas. She could navigate, build shelters, find water, and identify dangerous plants. She worked well with her team, but Instructor Oran watched her with suspicious eyes. He had read her file. He knew about her background with animals. He did not trust it. "Humans think they can tame anything," he told her one day after a training session. "This attitude will get you killed." "I do not think I can tame anything," said calmly. "I think I can understand some things. There is a difference." Oran made a clicking sound with his mandibles. It was the version of a sigh. "Understanding does not stop teeth and claws, cadet." The incident happened on day 19 of the course. His team was doing a navigation exercise in Sanctuary Zone 4. It was supposed to be safe. The zone was separated from Zone 7 by 3 layers of fencing, motion sensors, and armed drones. Nothing was supposed to get through. But something did. Heard the alarm first, a loud pulsing sound that echoed through the trees. Then Oran's voice came through her communicator, sharp with fear. "All cadets evacuate immediately. Containment breach in Zone 7. The is loose. I repeat, the is loose." Chaos. Her team scattered in different directions. Tried to follow them, but her path took her through thick brush and she lost sight of the others. When she came out into a clearing, she stopped. The was there. It stood between her and the evacuation point. 6 legs planted on the ground. Bioluminescent lines flashing red and orange along its body. Its mouth was open, showing rows of venomous teeth. Its body was coiled, ready to spring. Every lesson said to run. Every rule said to flee, but did not move. She looked at the creature, really looked at it, and she saw something that surprised her. The was afraid. Its eyes were not the cold, empty eyes from the hologram. They were wide and wild. Its breathing was fast and uneven. The glowing lines on its body were not the steady pulse of a hunting predator. They were flickering and chaotic. The colors were wrong. This creature was not hunting. It was panicking. Understood. That had been in a cage for years. Now it was suddenly outside, surrounded by strange sounds, strange smells, and strange creatures running and screaming in all directions. It was overstimulated. It was terrified. And terrified predators were the most dangerous kind. Made a choice. She crouched down slowly. She made herself small. She looked away from the creature, breaking eye contact. She kept her hands visible and still. These were the things her mother had taught her. Do not threaten. Do not challenge. Show the predator that you are not a danger. Then she whistled. It was a specific sound, low and soft, a frequency that her mother had discovered worked on many different species. It was not magic. It was science. Certain sounds triggered calming responses in certain brain structures. Her mother had spent 20 years figuring out which sounds worked on which creatures. The stopped, its ears moved toward her. The flickering lights on its body began to slow, kept whistling, keeping the sound steady and calm. Seconds passed. They felt like hours. The legs bent, its body lowered. The red and orange lights faded to a soft blue. It walked toward her, not a hunting walk, a careful, curious walk. Then it sat down right beside her. Reached out slowly and placed her hand on its flank. The creature was warm. Its skin was smooth like leather. She could feel its heartbeat slowing under her palm. Across the clearing, hidden behind a tree, Instructor Iran watched through field optics. His forearms were frozen at his sides. His mandibles hung open. In 40 years, he had never seen anything like this. The creature that had killed 3 trained handlers was sitting next to a human cadet like a pet dog. His voice came through his communicator. It was barely a whisper. "That's not possible." Did not answer. She just kept her hand on the side and waited for help to arrive. She was not thinking about impossible things. She was thinking about the scared animal next to her and how long it must have been since anyone had shown it kindness. They put in quarantine for 3 days. Not because she was sick, but because the Galactic Council did not know what else to do with her. Military advisors came to ask questions. Scientists came to run tests. Everyone wanted to know how she had done it. Answered their questions patiently. She explained about growing up on Nu. She told them about her mother's research into animal sounds. She described what she had seen in this behavior: fear, confusion, loneliness. The scientists looked at each other with strange expressions. "You are saying you read its emotions?" one of them asked. "Yes," said simply. "Animals have emotions. They show them in their body language. Once you know what to look for, it is not that hard." But for most species in the galaxy, it was very hard. They did not think about predators this way. Predators were dangers to avoid, threats to escape from. The idea of understanding a predator's feelings seemed strange and foolish. On the 4th day, Instructor Iran came to see her. He stood in the doorway of her quarantine room for a long moment before speaking. "I was wrong about you," he said finally. "I thought you were reckless. I thought you would get yourself killed. But what you did was not reckless. It was something I do not understand." "It was not brave," said. "It was just what made sense. Running would have triggered its hunting instinct. Fighting was impossible. The only option left was to calm it down." Iran made that clicking sound again. "And you knew how to do that, just from watching animals on your home world." "From watching animals my whole life," corrected. "And from learning that predators are not monsters. They are survivors. They do what they need to do to live. If you understand what they need, you can communicate with them." The instructor was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I have been teaching survival for 40 years. I have always taught cadets to fear and avoid dangerous creatures. But you humans do something different. I have heard stories. I thought they were exaggerations. What stories? Stories about wolves, Oran said. On your home world, you took a dangerous pack predator and turned it into something that sleeps in your beds and plays with your children. Smiled, dogs, yes. We did that about 15,000 years ago. We have been doing it ever since. Cats, horses, hawks, even some snakes and crocodiles. We look at creatures with teeth and claws and think maybe we can be friends. Why? Oran asked. He sounded genuinely confused. Why would you do that? Thought about it. I think because humans are weak, she said. We do not have claws or thick skin or venom. We cannot run very fast or see very well in the dark. So we learned to make allies. We found creatures that could do the things we could not do, and we made partnerships with them. The Galactic Council allowed to visit the after that. They called it supervised contact, called the creature, which meant truth in an old Earth language. It seemed right. The truth about was not what anyone had expected. Had been captured as a young cub. She had been taken from her pack and brought to this station for study. She had been in a cage for 6 years. 6 years without her family. 6 years without proper social contact. 6 years of fear and stress. She was not attacking the handlers because she was aggressive, explained to the. She was attacking because she was scared and confused. She had no idea how to act. No one had ever taught her. And the more the handlers tried to control her with force, the more scared she became. The scientists watched as sat with. The creature that had killed 3 people lay on its side while scratched behind its ears. The glowing lines on its body pulsed with soft, peaceful colors. How do you know what she is feeling? One scientist asked. The lights tell you, said. Red and orange mean stress or fear. Blue and green mean calm and content. Purple means curiosity. It is like reading a book once you know the language. Word spread through the station. The human who had tamed the monster. Some cadets thought was crazy. Others thought she was amazing. Just thought her roommate was interesting in ways she had not expected. On my world, told one night, predators are simply avoided. We build our cities where they cannot go. We do not think about what they feel. The idea seems strange to me. It seemed strange to many humans too at first, said. Some people on Earth still do not understand it. But the ones who learned to read animals to understand them, they changed our whole history. We would not have survived without our animal partners. Oran asked to give a lecture to the other cadets. She was nervous at first. She was not a teacher, but she agreed because she thought it was important. She stood in front of 60 cadets from 12 species. She showed them images from Earth. Humans with lions, humans with wolves, humans with bears, crocodiles, and eagles. She explained how these relationships had developed: patience, observation, understanding needs, offering trust. We do not control these animals, she said. We partner with them. They stay with us because they choose to, because we give them something they want: food, safety, companionship, and they give us something we need. A cadet raised a tentacle. But how do you survive the initial contact? How do you get close enough to a predator to begin this process without being killed? Smiled. Many of our ancestors did not survive, but the ones who did passed on what they learned. Over thousands of years, we got better at it. We learned to read body language. We learned which sounds were calming and which were threatening. We learned that most predators do not actually want to fight. Fighting is dangerous for them too. They would rather have an easy meal or a safe place to rest. After the lecture, Oran walked with through the station corridors. I have been thinking, he said, about what you said, about humans being weak. It is true, we are. No, the instructor said slowly. I do not think that is the right way to see it. You are not weak. You are different. Other species develop natural weapons: claws, venom, armor. Humans develop something else. You develop the ability to recruit weapons. You look at dangerous creatures and you think, how can I make this creature fight for me instead of against me? Had never thought of it that way, but it made sense. I am going to update my teaching materials, Oran continued. I am going to add a section on human survival methods, not because I think other species can do what you do, but because they should understand what they are dealing with when they work alongside humans. Looked at him. What do you mean? The instructor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. I mean that any species that goes to war with Earth should think very carefully first, because humans will not fight alone. They will bring everything they have ever befriended. And from what I have seen today, humans have befriended quite a lot. Laughed. She did not know what the future would bring, but she knew that somewhere in a containment area, a scared creature named was finally sleeping peacefully, and that seemed like a good place to start. The message came 3 months after the incident in Sanctuary Zone 4. A ship was arriving at Station Helix 9. It carried a delegation from IV, the home world of the. They were not happy. They were tall, powerful beings with thick gray skin and 4 arms. They had evolved alongside them for millions of years. To them, the creatures were not just predators. They were gods, sacred beings that represented the raw power of nature. Their leader was called High Priest. He stood in the station's diplomatic chamber, his eyes burning with anger as he spoke. "You have imprisoned one of the sacred ones," he declared. "You have kept her in a cage for 6 years, and now we hear that a small, soft creature from a water world has enslaved her mind. This is an insult to our religion and our people." The station commander tried to explain. The had not been enslaved, she had not even been harmed, but did not want to listen. He demanded that be returned to IV immediately. If the station refused, they would withdraw from the Galactic Accords. This was serious. They controlled several important trade routes. Losing them would hurt the entire galactic economy. The council members argued among themselves. No one knew what to do. Heard about the crisis from. Her roommate burst into their quarters, translator box buzzing with urgency. "They want to take away," said. "They are very angry. They think you have done something bad to their sacred creature." Stood up, her heart was beating fast, but her voice was calm. "I need to talk to them. They are very large and very upset. This might not be safe." "I know," said, "but as my friend I have to try." It took some convincing, but eventually the station commander agreed to let address the delegation. She walked into the diplomatic chamber wearing her cadet uniform. She looked very small compared to the towering. "Who is this?" demanded. "We are here to speak with leaders, not children." "My name is," she said. "I am the one who bonded with." The room went silent, stared at her with a mixture of curiosity and disgust. "You are the human who claims to have enslaved a sacred one." "I have not enslaved anyone," said firmly. "Is my friend. She chooses to be with me. I can prove it." Laughed. It was not a kind sound. The sacred ones do not make friends. They do not choose companions. They are pure predators beyond the bonds of lesser creatures. With respect, said, "I think you may be wrong about that. Let me show you." The demonstration was held in a large open area of the station. Half the station seemed to have come to watch. The delegation stood on one side, arms crossed, faces skeptical, stood in the center, alone. The door to this enclosure opened. They walked out slowly, her 6 legs moving with careful grace. Her bioluminescent lines pulsed with purple, the color of curiosity. She looked around at all the watching faces. The tensed. Several of them put their hands on their ceremonial weapons. In their religion, getting this close to a sacred one was forbidden. The creatures were meant to be from a distance. Whistled softly, his ears perked up. The creature turned toward her and the purple lights began to mix with green, happiness, recognition. They walked across the open space and stopped in front of. Reached out her hand, lowered her great head and pressed it against palm. The lights along her body glowed a steady, peaceful blue, then did something no one expected. She lay down, rolled onto her side, and exposed her belly. In the predator world, this was the ultimate sign of trust. An exposed belly was vulnerable. A predator only showed its belly to someone it trusted completely. The watching crowd was silent. They stared with wide eyes. Their theology said that sacred ones trusted no one. They were independent, powerful, beyond connection. And yet here was one of their gods, lying at the feet of a small human, asking for belly scratches. Knelt down and rubbed belly. The creature made a deep rumbling sound that might have been a purr. Her lights pulsed with warm, contented colors. She is not enslaved, said, looking up at. She is not controlled. She is choosing to be here with me. She is choosing to trust me. That is what friendship looks like. Stepped forward slowly. His expression had changed. The anger was gone, replaced by something like wonder. In all my years as high priest, he said quietly, I have never seen a sacred one behave this way. We approach them with offerings and prayers. We keep our distance out of respect. We never imagine that they might want something else. They are social creatures, said gently. Like many predators, they live in packs. They need connection. They need family. Was taken from her family when she was young. She has been alone for 6 years. She was not angry or aggressive. She was lonely. The high priest was silent for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He knelt down beside. He was close to now, closer than any had ever been to a sacred one. May I? He asked. She nodded, reached out with one of his 4 hands and touched his flank. His fingers trembled. Tears appeared in his eyes. For his entire life he had these creatures from afar. Now he was touching one, and she was not attacking. She was accepting him. We were wrong, whispered. For thousands of years we were wrong. We thought distance was respect, but what they needed was connection. The crisis ended that day. They did not withdraw from the Galactic Accords. Instead, they asked to establish a cultural exchange program with humans. They wanted to learn how to connect with their sacred ones. They wanted to understand what it understood. 6 months later, graduated from the academy at the top of her class. She was assigned to a new division that had never existed before: diplomatic relations. Her job would be to help other species understand dangerous creatures, to build bridges between predators and prey, to show the galaxy what humans had always known. On graduation day, walked across the stage with beside her. The lights glowed with proud purple and happy green. The crowd watched in amazement. Some cadets reached out to offer treats as they passed. The creature who had once been called a monster was now part of the community. Instructor Oran watched from the back of the auditorium. He had written a new section for his survival manual. It was titled Human Methods: Understanding Terran-Predator Relations. The final paragraph was a warning to any species that might consider Earth an enemy. Humans do not fear predators, he had written. Humans see predators as potential allies. They have spent 50,000 years perfecting the art of befriending dangerous creatures. Recommendation: never go to war with Earth. They will not fight alone. They will bring everything they have ever befriended, and they have befriended everything. Did not know about the warning in the manual. She was too busy saying goodbye to her classmates and making plans for her new job. But as she left the auditorium with at her side, she thought about what came next. A whole galaxy of creatures waiting to be understood. A lifetime of bridges waiting to be built. She reached down and scratched behind his ears. The creature rumbled happily. Ready for our next adventure? Asked. His lights pulsed bright purple, curiosity, excitement. Yes. Together, the human and the predator walked out into the stars.